but it's just, a long time of hard work. That's what I always tell people. It's like people think they're going to move to Nashville and get their big break in like a day, but it almost never happens like that. It's more often lots of years of, steady hard work and faithfulness to the Lord, and he's going to do it.
Between the Grooves is hosted by James Curtis, music director and morning man in the Greater Toronto Area on Joy Radio, and Ayiesha Woods, Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, and musician. Together, they talk with artists and industry insiders to discover our connection between music and faith. You can connect with us on Facebook or Twitter at Between Grooves. Now, here's James and Ayiesha.
I cringe when I hear that. It reminds me when I was a kid. I took piano lessons when I was a kid, and it just reminds me of all the work that had to be done. You think when you learn an instrument, you can immediately start to play a song, right? Whether it's guitar, yes, piano, or any instrument for that matter, you think that you would immediately begin to be able to play a song. But no, you got to learn those scales. It's just so annoying. And you got to practice.
Part of the process.
And you got to learn them in different keys. You got to learn them in different speeds. And just brings back memories.
Little PTSD going on over there?
Something like that. I need therapy. Hey, our guest this week, Natalie Layne. She's currently on tour with Danny Gokey and Austin French. She's got a great song out right now called Amen. Let's get to this conversation with Natalie.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Natalie.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Yes, I can.
I got to say, I took piano lessons when I was a kid. My parents forced me.
That's usually the case.
Yeah. And, I come from a very musical family anyway, so I suppose that part was good. It was a great introduction to music, I suppose. But I hated those scales. Like, how do you do that? Like, honestly, it's got to be...
I totally get that.
The most mundane, boring thing. And then, of course, you got to practice that. Exactly. You got to practice that every week. And that's kind of what you get graded on. Like, really?
That was also C.
No, it's true.
The easiest.
Yes,
I can still do the key of C.
Yeah, C's still my favorite. I mean, it's just
it's everybody's
think
favorite.
About it.
Yeah.
No, it was so funny. My parents bought me this little keyboard when I was super young, like probably 3 or 4. And they just put it at my level and didn't say anything about it, and they totally let me discover it. And so I honestly think that was the trick, because they would have made me take piano for sure.
Are they musical?
They didn't have to. Oh, yes. My whole family plays music. Like, my parents met in music school. Like, it was
nice.
a whole thing.
But when you were
destiny,
when you were young,
Yes.
Did you actually see them and hear them play the piano themselves?
I would see them lead worship. Neither of them, well, mom plays a little bit of piano, but dad plays bass and trombone.
Okay.
And mom mostly sings. So piano was kind of a unique thing to me. The only one who plays piano is my grandma, and she ended up being my first piano teacher. So everybody was involved. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun to have music around the house.
Did she spank your hands? If you got it wrong, did she spank your hands?
She didn't go quite that far. No. She did teach me my scales, though.
There you go.
I guess you're glad, or I guess they're probably glad they didn't get you drums.
So true. But then my brother played drums. So it had to be somebody.
A lot of noise happening in the house. Yeah. Especially when they're young.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have to take recorder in school?
Yes. And I thought it was the weirdest sound ever. I was like, why are we having students play this? Like, it is. It's probably the most annoying for parents. I don't know what that's like yet.
I think the most annoying is 3 blind mice on the recorder.
Oh
yeah. Gosh.
Because it's never in tune the first time they play it.
Yeah.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. Yeah.
That was a good impersonation there.
It's pretty close, I think.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how did your career evolve? Like, was this in the plans for you, or heading in another direction?
No, I always have wanted to do music. Like since that little girl, like, playing around on the keys.
That's neat.
I always knew I wanted to do something with music or like a worship leader. I went to college at a place called Belmont in Nashville, and
Whoop, whoop.
that really, yes, that was the catalyst for me to like really start pursuing artistry and writing a lot of songs. And so really just since being in Nashville, it's really taken off.
Do you find the music scene in Nashville, though, to be highly competitive? Like if you're going to Nashville and specializing in music, everybody and their mother is going to be specializing in music. Everybody and their mother is going to be very talented. And like, I'm sure that the competition would be pretty stiff.
Yeah. I remember my first week in Nashville, like, seeing some of the city and going to restaurants and whatever. And like, your waiter would be musical and the random person you met on the street would be musical. And I was like, hang on now, this is not a great, success rate we have going on here. So I remember noticing that and being like, man, God would have to do this, if if this happened, it would have to be him. And so, I don't know, but it's just, a long time of hard work. That's what I always tell people. It's like people think they're going to move to Nashville and get their big break in like a day, but it almost never happens like that. It's more often lots of years of, steady hard work and faithfulness to the Lord, and he's going to do it. So
how many years, how many years for you?
It's been almost 7 years that I've been in town.
So but a lot of people might look at it as overnight success. I mean, 7 years isn't that long compared to some other people.
Totally. Some people, it takes decades or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful, but it's really true. Like 7 years feels like a long time when you're in it, but then it's amazing to see like when God says it's time, it's just time.
That's it.
Nobody can stop it.
Stopping.
Yeah.
Green light.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah. Come on.
You said Nashville for the last 7 years. Where is, where are you from originally?
Yeah, home is Colorado Springs, Colorado.
All right.
I grew up there my whole life. I love the mountains so much. I miss that part of it for sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Your family's still in Colorado Springs, or?
Yes,
did
my whole family's still there.
Make the move. Okay.
My whole family's still there, including both sets of my grandparents. So it's fun to go and visit everybody. But actually, my brother just moved to Nashville, and we're really good friends. So it's been awesome to have him here.
If you're looking for a drummer.
I know. It would be perfect. Yeah. He's a good one, too.
There you go. So tell me how the connection between you and Centricity Music, because a lot of people go to Nashville, they've got big dreams, they've got big plans, and one of their plans is to get signed with a label. That's the big thing for them. And it's a lot of work. You got to get noticed. You've got to have the right connections. Things just have to work out like a puzzle. How did it work out for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing that took a few years to come to fruition, but it goes back to Belmont too. I played this showcase at Belmont, which I didn't even know was as big of a deal as it was. But they have these showcases on campus where it's like a whole audition thing, like students audition for months in advance, and then they end up picking 4 students to share their original songs for the school. And they have it like in the arena on campus, and like it's a big deal. But to me, I was like, I'm just playing these songs with my friends. I don't know. And what I didn't know is that all the labels also come to it. Mm-hmm. And so I played this showcase and won it, and then immediately had all these meetings with labels. Like it was super weird. So that was back in 2019 that we played that. And so I was having all these meetings with labels. I was recording some of my own songs independently just to release, and was about to release that and go on my first tour. And it seemed like everything was happening back then. Like I was like, thank you, Lord. This seems like you're opening the doors. And then COVID happened and all of that stopped. And so it was the weirdest thing of being like, man, I thought we were there, and then it turns out that it must not be the time. And so it caused me to reevaluate a lot of things and really make sure that was the direction I wanted to take. But even through COVID and everything else, there was one label that really kept contact, and that was Centricity. And so we talked for those 3 years. And then last year, I went on one of the songwriting retreats that they put on, and got to hang out with their whole team, and it just was the perfect fit. And so we got home from that retreat, and the next day they were like, we need to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we've been working together for a little over a year now, and they're just the best, most genuine people. So I'm really thankful.
What was the prize for winning that competition initially? Was it to get a chance to get in front of the labels, or was there something completely different?
I think so. I think the actual prize was like they would connect you with one of the labels.
Okay.
But it ended up being kind of everybody. And I was, grateful to be able to meet all those people too, and just establish connections. So it was cool.
Yeah, that's still a great reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome.
Well, it's nice to get your pick too, right? I mean, everything worked out with Centricity,
totally.
but it's nice to have a bunch of stuff lined up. Well, it doesn't work out with this one, you could move to another one if that relationship is better or whatever, right? So now, as far as Centricity is concerned, are you on as obviously an artist? Are you also on as a songwriter?
Yes, also as a writer.
Okay. And so does that mean you get into these songwriting sessions with other artists or other songwriters?
Yeah. So when we signed we started working together last summer. They immediately went to work booking my calendar with everybody that I wanted to write with. So it was nice. So cool, because I just kind of gave them these are the people I think I would really connect with. Whatever of that you can make happen is great. Whatever you can't. And they put all of those people on my calendar. And so it was really cool, because at that time we were really writing songs for my project, and got to, write with some dream songwriters for that project. And then after we kind of wrapped up writing for the EP, then I got to write for other artists too. And I'm still kind of doing that. If Brandon Heath needs a song, I'll come in and write for him or whatever. So it's been fun to be on as an artist and then also a writer for other people.
That is fun.
Yeah, it's cool. It keeps my schedule busy though.
Do you play other instruments besides piano, or is that your first and only instrument?
Yeah, I play a little bit of guitar.
Okay.
And I'm trying to learn the cello right now. It's
wow.
a totally different thing.
Impressive.
I think it's such a beautiful instrument, and I've always wanted to learn, but it is I thought, playing guitar might help me a little bit on the cello. No, it is a totally different thing. So I'm back in the squeaky phase of this sounds terrible right now, but
that's funny.
We're going to get better.
Kind of like the recorder in kindergarten, right?
Exactly like the recorder. Yes. But I try to practice when people aren't around as much, I'm not annoying my parents anymore. Yeah.
Is your hope with the cello to eventually get to the point where you could perhaps record a little part for one of your songs, like the chorus or something like that?
Yeah, I think that would be so fun, even if it's just a simple part, but just the ability to be able to do that and put it on whatever tracks I want would be so cool.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about touring. You've had the opportunity to open for Jeremy Camp, Chris Tomlin, We the Kingdom, and share the stage with many others. You've been doing the tour thing with Danny Koki and Austin French over the last little bit.
Yes.
How's that been going for you?
Oh, it's so much fun. It's such a great crew out on the road, and we have 18 shows left, so we're rolling. But man, it's been so fun. This is the first time too that the songs have really been out there, and so people know all the words when they come to the shows, and it's really special to get to meet the people who the songs have meant something to them. So it's cool to really finally see some of that like fruit of what God's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's special. It's been a really great tour.
When you're heading out on, I'm assuming you're on a bus, or are you flying out to the gigs?
Yes, praise God, we have a bus.
Okay. And I mean,
It makes it so much better.
but it's not every day of the week either. Like I would assume like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you're back for a few days and then you're back on the road again.
Yes, most of the time we pull out, like bus pulls out on Wednesday night and we drive through the
Yeah.
night, have shows Thursday through Sunday, and then we're back in Nashville on Monday morning.
That's cool. What's your
Yeah.
what's your team look like? Like, what size band are you taking at this time?
This is a fun one because it's technically an acoustic tour for Danny. So he has a smaller band than usual. So he asked me if I would just open with me and the piano. And
Yes.
I love that because that's where I started, you know? And so it's been fun to kind of go back to my roots. And so I just open it with me and the piano, and then Austin plays with two of his guys. And then Danny has 4 or 5 people. And it's been great because I get to play keys in Danny's band too.
Oh, nice.
Right,
So,
that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun. And we get to sing together. And so it's been fun to be up there for the show and see how people are connecting.
So if you're playing keys for Danny, who ends up being the music director during the performance?
Yeah. So Danny's bass player is really the band leader and music director, and he does an incredible job.
Okay. I've seen in the past, the reason why I was asking, because in the past I saw him perform in Toronto, and I think it was the keyboardist that was kind of running the show at that time.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think the bass player is newer, but his whole band is so good, and they've got that kind of gospel
guys.
sound that he loves.
Oh, yeah.
Such good dudes. So
Yeah.
it's been awesome.
So when you're on the road, who do you end up sharing the bus with?
So it's kind of ended up like Danny's got a bus full of guys, and then Austin and I and our teams kind of share a bus.
Right.
So we have 2 awesome female tour managers who are killing it. So they're on my bus, and
Awesome.
I bring out a tour manager, and she's on there. So it's been so much fun. We have just hilarious late night conversations on the bus when we're exhausted and, you know, giggling because it's just everything's funny when it's 1 a.m.
Yes.
So it's been it's really
totally
been
relate.
a great crew to be out with. Yes. Yeah. We hit that point almost every night. So.
Are you a night person or are you a morning person?
I am a night person, and I think the Lord knew I would need that because
To say 1
We're
o'clock
up
conversations. Yeah.
Woo!
What about you,
that's
Ayiesha?
about
I mean,
the
you've
time
got
we get on the bus.
Ayiesha. What about you? You've got kids, so has that changed for you?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Listen, 10 o'clock starts rolling around and I'm hitting my wall, brother. I'm like, I need my bed.
But was it always like
There
that
was
for
a
you?
day.
Yeah.
No. There was a day when, of course, those 1 a.m., 2 a.m., giggly, fun times. There were, that was just the way it was. But after kids, marriage and kids, like I said, 10 o'clock, I'm like, where's my bed?
Man, 10 o'clock bedtime does sound pretty great. Let's be honest.
Should I tell Natalie what time I go to bed at night?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
No, you don't go to bed at night. You go to bed in the afternoon.
Wow, evening.
Early evening.
Yeah, 7 p.m. on a school night. I call it a school night, but when I've got to work the next day, because I do the morning show,
Man.
I'm in bed by 7 o'clock. So
What time are you up in the mornings?
2 a.m.
Are you?
Yeah, so
you gotta
I'm getting
do
up
it.
when
And that's
you're
when
just
she's
thinking about it.
That's when Natalie's getting her giggle on.
I'm going. Yes.
Yeah. But
They're winding down at that time.
But this is on the road for you,
Yeah.
right? So you're going to bed 1
Right.
o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. What time are you getting up in the morning? Or in the afternoon, shall I say?
Oh, not quite afternoon. Maybe 9 or 10.
Okay.
in the morning.
And is this a thing because that you're arriving at your destination, or is that everybody's getting up and you start hearing the noises?
Yes. So really we can't usually we can't get into the venues until 9 a.m. And so it's about that time that like production's loading stuff in and everybody's kind of getting up. So then you hear people, you feel the bus stop, so that's about the time for everybody.
Right. And so given the dynamics, traveling in a bus with a bunch of other people, is there a pecking order as far as who gets the washroom first? Like who gets to brush their teeth and that sort of thing? Because how many people in the bus? 6, 8?
There are 12 of us
12?
on the bus.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So is there a fight?
Oh no. Really, like most of the time we're just on the bus to sleep. And so like we've already brushed our teeth in the previous venue and everything, and then get on the bus to sleep. And then when you get up in the morning, you get to the next venue and you go brush your teeth in there. So usually there's not a fight.
Okay. I don't know if I can handle
Where do
being
you
on a
like to
bus with
sleep?
12 people. My goodness.
Yeah.
I know.
Where do you like to sleep?
I know.
You claim top bunk, middle bunk, bottom bunk?
You know what? Everybody's vying for the middle for sure. Because the bottom's a little like you got to lay on the ground and roll in kind of thing. And then the top bunk is just like climbing a ladder to get up there, So middle's perfect. And they say they usually put artists in the middle. So I do have a middle bunk on this tour.
There you go.
Is that a rule? Seriously?
No.
Put the artist in the middle?
I think that's usually what they do. They try to,
security, I guess, eh?
make us get hurt. Yeah.
Oh, not getting hurt. Okay, I can understand that. Yeah. Now, is there any issues with snoring?
Oh, yes.
Not you, of course. I don't want to point any fingers, but
that's funny.
Any stories to share?
I really am pretty sure it's not me, but everyone says that.
Pretty sure it's not me.
Pretty sure.
Says anyone who snores.
Yes. Yeah. So usually I'm about in the middle of the pack of like who goes to bed first. So there'll be, 6 people back there by the time I crawl in my bunk. And like this last night we were on the tour, I went back there and there were 3 people snoring, like having a conversation with their snores. It was hilarious.
Gosh,
I'm like, you guys are just doing a little trio right now. And these are all people who have claimed, I do not snore. No, I don't.
It's funny.
My wife says I snore, but I don't believe her. I've never heard myself.
See? This is what I'm saying. You don't know if it's you. It's funny.
So when you arrive at a destination and the technical guys have hauled all the gear in and whatnot, what's the pecking order when it comes to sound checks and getting ready for the show that later that day?
Yeah, it's really most of the day is just getting everything set up. We have 2 big trailers that we're carrying, and so the production guys are amazing and set up for pretty much the whole morning. And then we do sound checks in backwards order. So Danny goes first. And so his usually takes the longest because he has the most people and the longest set and everything. So we'll sound check for Danny, and then Austin will sound check, and then I'll sound check like right before the doors open, which is a couple hours before at that point. So it takes us all afternoon to get everything sounding at least okay. Sounds pretty good.
Ayiesha, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that typically the way sound checks go at whether it's a festival or any kind of concert where the main artist or the headliner goes first, and then it goes backwards, as it were.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. Even in my sound check, we'll do my first song last, so they're ready to go when we start the show.
Right.
That's cool. Have you been overseas yet?
I don't think I've been overseas to play yet, but
okay. Get ready.
Things are in the works. That could be fun. Yes.
I know. Get ready.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So when you're back in town, is your time spent doing some of these co-writes? Are you still doing that, or are you busy with just taking some downtime between the shows right now?
Yeah, well, it's funny because usually the day we get back, I'm pretty exhausted that day.
Yeah.
So that's usually that's rest day. And then maybe the next day, I'll have a co-write or some meetings or just whatever's happening in town. I'm definitely writing less than I was for several months. I was writing 5 days a week.
Wow.
And that was a lot. It was a song a day. And that was a super fun season, but definitely not sustainable forever. I mean, you just can't have that many song ideas. Like one for every single day is tricky.
Yeah.
So a good one every day is tricky. So it's been really great. Writing about once a week right now is perfect. And then catching up on whatever and repacking for the next run of shows. There you go. Is what I'm doing.
Well, it's not just that.
Laundry.
Yeah, I was going to say there's laundry. There's all the stuff that you need to do that most people take for granted as far as time is concerned. I years ago worked with someone, and of course we live in Canada, and so we get snow, believe it or not, in the wintertime. Yeah. And he would go traveling on business, and there would be a huge snowfall while he's gone. And so not only does he have to come back and do laundry before he heads out again, he'd have to shovel snow. And he's going to do a whole pile of work. Just the regular maintenance around the house.
Nothing of the sort.
No, but you've got grass cutting or something, right? You've got the lawn maintenance, right? There's that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So if it's just laundry you have to worry about, that's probably a good thing.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Laundry, making sure the house isn't a mess. Right. Maybe a good shower would be good. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
So besides the collaborations in the writing side of things, have you done any, or are you continuing to do other collaborations where either you're playing for another artist or you're singing on their album?
Yeah, I've done a lot of that. It's fun because people can send me whatever they need me to play on, and I can do that from wherever I am, whether I'm on the road or at home or whatever. So I get to play on probably more things, but I just did a bunch of background vocals for Jason Gray's new album. And
nice.
It's been a pleasure to work with these guys.
Favorite artist so far that you've worked with?
Oh boy, no, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard, man.
It's either that or I'm going to say the worst artists, right? So.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that either. I will say a bunch of the guys on Centricity's label are just great. So Jason Gray's on there. Brandon Heath is on there now that I've written for. Apollo Ltd. has done some production for me, and they're so much fun. Yeah. So some of those guys probably.
And what about an artist that you'd like to work with, but you haven't had the opportunity yet?
Oh my gosh, man. I've been actually writing a lot with, you guys know Blessing Offer.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yes.
He's so great.
He is so talented.
Our styles, it's been so fun because we both play keys to kind of play together and write together. And so that could definitely be something in the future. I mean, Lauren Daigle is like a dream collaboration. And she's also on Centricity, so she's been really kind. And
So have you actually worked with her yet? With Lauren?
I haven't worked with her yet, but we have been on like some of the same. We went out to LA to meet with some radio folks and spent a little bit of time with her. So she's just one of the most genuine people, and she's awesome.
That's
honestly,
really cool.
I think Lauren Daigle is still probably one of my all-time favorite female artists. As far as I just love her voice when she sings. Like there's a hint of raspiness sometimes, but her range is incredible, and it appears to be effortless.
Yeah, totally. What makes this is so interesting to me is like when Centricity found her, she wasn't even an artist. Like she didn't even think she was going to do that.
Yeah,
it was just singing background vocals for somebody else.
Yeah, it was a songwriting camp.
Oh, really?
I chatted with her a few years ago, and she had mentioned something about that she went to one of these songwriting retreats, and she wasn't even on the list to go, but somebody bailed, somebody was sick or something, so she ended up going kind of last minute, and then kind of was discovered there or whatever, and it was
wow.
Never meant to happen, as it were,
See?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, what's meant to be will be, right?
That's right.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that would be a great collaboration between you and her. I think that would be incredible.
Oh,
yeah, your
so
tone
fun.
is pretty sick. And I mean that in a good way.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be so fun.
Well, listen, thank you so much for your time, Natalie. Really a pleasure to chat with you. And so we appreciate your time and really enjoying your music.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
And tell those fellas that we all said hello on the road.
Awesome. I will. Yeah. Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.
Right.
Take care.
You too.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Bye, Natalie.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was so good. It took me down memory lane, to tell you the truth. And I remember during one of our first tours and being on the road, I was on the road with about 11 guys, and I felt like big sister / auntie, because every morning when we'd get into a new city, the boys would get off. And
so it was 11 guys on the bus with you?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And my brother included. So he was looking out for me, and I'd get up, and when the boys would get off the bus, I'm there like trying to run the vacuum and clean up the bathroom. And
you're the artist? You're the artist on the road and you're doing all that? Come on. It's not fair.
But they were some of the best times, though. Really, they were some of the best times. We had so much fun. And shucks, you gotta watch the snacks and eating late, and gotta maintain discipline. My brother put on about 20 pounds one of our first tours. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a skinny kid.
All the fast food in the middle of the night, and whatever food you're I'll use the word stuck with in catering at the venue, right? Right.
Yeah, but definitely some of the best times, some of the greatest memories that I have, being on the road, being on tour, and in the buses.
I suppose that's the fun time when you get to play a little bit as far as being an artist is concerned, because there's a lot of work behind the scenes, whether it's the writing, the recording, and all the paperwork and administrative type stuff that needs to happen behind the scenes, even arranging the tours and meeting with the label and whatnot. So when you're finally on the road to tour the music that you've recorded, it's kind of like, take a little bit of a break, have some fun, do some, touring as you're sightseeing, that sort of thing. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it is. Very nice.
Well, listen, before we go, time for some artist advice with Jesse Reeves.
Don't set your eyes on being on top of the mountain. Set your eyes on the people that God has set in front of you. Even as a songwriter, to write songs for the people that are right in front of you, to write songs for the people in your living room or in your sphere of influence. And in my experience, that's been the songs that God has breathed on. And I've written 100 songs that I think, this is going to kill in an arena, and nobody's ever heard those songs. But the songs that I write to try to minister to the people that are right in front of me seem to be the ones that God breathes on. So I think that'd be my number one thing, is just to write for the people in your immediate sphere of influence.
Interesting take.
Yeah, when he started by saying, don't set your eyes on the mountain, I immediately thought he was going to go towards setting your eyes on the valley and writing songs about that period when you're in a valley, right? Because to me, songs like that are more meaningful to people very often. At least that's what I found, over the last couple of years, coming out of the pandemic and whatever else. But then he turned it around talking about, writing meaningful songs for the people around you. And I suppose that could be the same thing, because everybody's at a different point in their lives, right?
Right. Yeah. And life's really all about seasons. And if you're in tune, then you'll be able to write songs that people are able to relate with or relate to.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. His advice.
Yeah, I like the word relatable. I think that's what he's basically saying. Songs that are relatable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Jesse Reeves, and many thanks to Natalie Layne as well for joining us on this week's episode of Between the Grooves.
Thanks for listening to Faith Strong Today's Between the Grooves podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider sharing it with your friends, rating our podcast, or giving us some love on your socials to your amazing friends and followers will only help us reach more people. We'd also love to hear from you and share your feedback in an upcoming episode. Send your video or written message to Ayiesha and James on Facebook and Twitter @Between Grooves, or email us anytime, hello@faithstrongtoday.com.